tradition till today, and the celebration is held a day after those on annual pilgrimages to Hajj descended on Mount Arafah. By observing the celebration, Muslims will be portraying their obedience to Allah in emulation of what Prophet Ibrahim did. In commemorating the festival, Muslim faithful gather as a congregation to offer Eid prayer, which consists of 2 rakats with 7 takbir in the first rakah and 5 takbirs in the second, which is then followed by utbah or sermon by the imam. After the congregational prayer observed either in a mosque or an open field, the imam slaughters the ram for the festival, after which individuals can then follow suit in their respective homes or places. It is important to note that either the flesh or the blood of the slaughtered animals does not reach Allah, but what reaches him is the piety behind the sacrifice as exhibited by Prophet Ibrahim and obedience as demonstrated by his son Ismail. While it is true that Allah's act of providing a ram for Prophet Ibrahim to replace Ismail for the sacrifice is worthy of celebration, the day should be more of glorifying Allah's holy name rather than focusing on food, drinks, and merriment. Eid al-Kabir should be observed with moderation to avoid unpleasant consequences. As Muslims and other Nigerians celebrate Eid, the value of love, faith, obedience, prayer, sacrifice, and submission to the will of Allah should be uppermost in our mind. This will be in tandem with Allah's commandments regarding Eid al-Kabir, as well as reflecting the nation's economic downturn that has prevented many Muslims from performing their obligation of ram slaughtering. In other words, Eid al-Kabir is all about sharing, giving, supplications to Allah, respecting humanity, showing mercy and kindness to people. Eid al-Kabir reminds people of how Allah turns a situation of hopelessness into hope and happiness. It is imperative for the elected representatives of the people to be guided by the selflessness and sacrificial message of Eid al-Kabir to guarantee good governance in our country. This is why public office holders should avoid opportunistic tendencies and corrupt practices. Hence, public resources should be judiciously used in the interest of the public. Nigerians should also see the occasion of Eid al-Kabir as an opportunity to promote peace among diverse ethnic and religious groups in the country for national development.
That script on the significance of Eid al-Kabir was written by Rashida Makinde of our editorial unit and delivered by Olubukola Enimola. The resident Electoral Commissioner Rec Oyo State Professor Adeniran Tella has urged staff of the commission to prioritize security and personal safety in their various areas of operation. Professor Tella made the call during an emergency meeting with members of staff at his office in Ibadan. The Oyo Rec said the call became necessary following the recent insecurity in some parts of the state, while also using the opportunity to assess the progress of the ongoing political parties' primaries in the state. Professor Tella urged staff to play a matured and professional role expected of the commission in the exercise. He assured residents in the state of the Commission's commitment to delivering credible, free, and fair electoral processes in the general election. The Progressive Institute, TPI, has congratulated President Bola Tinubu on his victory in the All Progressives Congress APC presidential primary elections. In a statement signed by its head of media, Mr. Wale Abidin, the institute, which is the think tank and intellectual resource center of the APC in Abuja, noted that the emergence of President Tinubu as the 2027 APC presidential candidate underscored national and global support for his bold reforms and policies. The TPI stated that it monitored the primary election and was impressed by the overwhelming support of APC members across the country for the president. The institute added that its Director General Dr. Lanre Adebayo believed that the outcome of the APC primary election was a reflection of what to expect in the general elections. You're on to the news at 11 and Premier 93.5 FM Ibadan from the stable of Radio Nigeria. Glad to know you're still there with us on the news at 11 on Radio Nigeria's Premier 93.5 FM Ibadan. Now to the rest of the package. This day in 1967, Nigeria's head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, created 12 states. National Coordinator, Child Protection Network of Nigeria, Mr. Olakunle Sani, has urged the relevant authorities to move beyond mere policy declarations and ensure the full implementation of the child protection laws. He made the call in a message to commemorate this year's Children's Day. Mr. Sani stressed that every child deserved protection from the violence and abuse that threatened their health, education, dignity, and future. Also, the Speaker of the National Children's Parliament of Nigeria, Ms. Progress Umo, is called on government at all levels to urgently address insecurity in schools and communities to guarantee children a safe, peaceful, and enabling environment where they can learn, grow, and flourish without fear. Similarly, stakeholders in Osun State have stressed the need for the average Nigerian child to have access to quality health care, education, and good nutrition. The stakeholders made the submission in Osogbo while speaking with Radio Nigeria on the occasion of Children's Day. On her part, the Minister of Women Affairs and Social Development, Ms. Iman Sulaiman Ibrahim, said this year's theme, Future Now, promoting inclusion for every Nigerian child, underscores the government's pledge to ensure that no child is left behind, regardless of their age, ability, or disability, socio-economic background, religion, ethnicity, and geographical location. Also speaking, a student, Ms. Blessing Oladunjoye, called on government and other stakeholders to evacuate children found hawking on the streets of major towns and ensure they are enrolled in government schools, which is affordable. Now to the foreign scenes. Ghanaian authorities have commenced the repatriation of the first group of 800 citizens registered to be flown home from South Africa. According to the authorities, an initial 300 people will leave today, while the remaining registered citizens were still being screened and would depart at a later date. The development followed a wave of protests against illegal immigration in South African cities in recent weeks, leading to fears there could be resurgence in xenophobic violence in the country. As we celebrate Eid al-Kabir, let moderation be our watchword. And to end the news at 11 on Premier 93.5 FM Ibadan from the stable of Radio Nigeria, we take a look at the top stories again. Clerics across Oyo State have used the occasion of this year's Eid al-Kabir to call for peaceful coexistence among Nigerians. Stakeholders have urged relevant authorities to move beyond mere policy declarations and ensure the full implementation of the child protection laws. From the foreign scenes reported, Ghanaian authorities have commenced the repatriation of the first group of 800 citizens registered to be flown home from South Africa. For information, call us on these numbers 0802-334-5294 and 0803-242-9552. That ends the news at 11 and Radio Nigeria's Premier 93.5 FM Dugbe Ibadan. As edited by Oluwakayode Banjo, I am Feyi Shara Owomoyela, thanking you for staying tuned together. We wish you a peaceful and happy Eid al-Kabir celebrations. Good morning.